Welcome to Inside Bikes. I have got a big smile on my face today because we have been out riding the latest version of one of my favourite bikes, the Moto Guzzi V7 Speciale. Now the V7 has been out for a few years now. It's never really been one of the best-selling bikes in the sort of retro range, which is a great shame because I absolutely adore them. Now, I'm a bit of an old sentimental. The first bike I ever rode pillion on was a 1980s Le Mans, and I just loved that, and that stayed with me forever. And I just love the way that these bikes, you start them up and they rock from side to side. They've got so much character. Previous generation V7, quite a quirky bike, and actually a little bit agricultural in a lot of ways. It had the old 750 Moto Guzzi engine. It's been brought up to date for Euro 5, and I was really keen to see if it had sort of retained that character that I think was made the V7 such a standout in an otherwise, you know, quite bland retro class. Now these bikes aren't really about the spec sheet, they're all about the looks and the feel, and frankly, look at it, look at it, look at it. It's just gorgeous. I love it. It's probably the most authentic looking retro bike out there today. And the feels, well, the feels are a little bit more muted than maybe they were in the previous generation bike, but it's still got loads of character. You know, you twitch that throttle a tick over and you feel those big cylinders flap from side to side. It's now got the latest V85 850cc engine, so it's up 100cc over the previous generation model, but it's still nice and refined, 20 horsepower more than it had before, 67 horsepower, but it's, you know, it's still a mellow thing. It's about 220 kilograms fully fueled, but actually so low. The seat height, look, I'm a shorty, it is absolutely a doddle to paddle around with a nice wide handlebars. It's very manoeuvrable around town. It's got that traditional air-cooled 2-valve push-rod engine. These are the only guys making this kind of engine, and it came out in the first V7, which was in 1967. So when they rebooted this model, it really does mean a lot to Moto Guzzi, and you can see it in the detail in the bike. On the open road, as I say, it's not really about the spec sheet. If you're looking for cutting-edge suspension, look elsewhere, but I love this bike for what it is. It's a bit wallowy, you know, we ride on a lot of these quite bumpy Midland roads, and certainly it's not the most compliant bike over the bumps, let's put it that way. The 18-inch front wheel feels a little bit heavier than most bikes, but actually it's fine, and it gives it that oldie world character, which, you know, I'd have one of these over a Bonneville every day of the week just because it's got so much more character. And it is more refined than it was before. You know, the old one really did growl and bark. It's still got a nice little tone to it without being over the top aggressive in its sound. And the gearbox has got, let's say, character. It's not maybe as slick as something like the Triumph, but it kind of feels, it feels more like a proper motorbike from back in the day. It's got shaft drive. To be honest, I didn't notice it as much as I did on the previous generation bike. The previous generation did have a lot of that sort of torque reaction which you sometimes get with older shaft drive bikes. Don't really notice it so much on this, but it's still got that nice sort of feel to it. It feels like you're riding a machine, a mechanical machine, and that sort of carries across through the clocks, which again, like everything on this bike, looks $1 million. I've got one little complaint, it's that when you're riding along, the idiot lights sort of flash up at you telling you to change gear, change gear, change gear. It's like a Las Vegas slot machine flashing at you telling you you've got to change gear, even though you're only doing 4,500 revs, which actually feels like the sweet spot for the engine. List price on these is £8,800, which I think is really strongly priced, and actually they do a stone version which has got cast wheels, a little bit more blacked out, and it's £400 less. But actually, most dealers seem to have good deals on these. You know what? I think this is a secret that needs to get out there. This bike deserves to sell more than it does. It's great, it's got loads of character. I don't want to talk to you guys, I want to get out and ride this bike, so I'm going to ride this bike and then I'm going to write some words, we'll put it on the website, link will be below. Thanks for watching, till next time, ride safe.